Hey guys, just working on the Brummbar. So, quick update, and also to answer a few questions. So, um, first things first, I'll actually show you where we are with the actual Brummbar itself. The vehicle is painted, and I'm beginning to weather it. I'll talk you through what I did. There is some modulation on this. You can't see any of it, but well. So I made the lighter version of Dunkelgleb, put it over it, and then put the kind of octopus style camo, which you can't quite, it's a little bit hard to see due to the gloss coat I've put onto this model. But it is there. You can kind of see a bit there from this angle. So I put down I freehanded the rot brown or red brown camo scheme. Then I touched it back up and feathered the edges with Dunkelgleb just to make it blend in nicely. Then using a sponging method, I took Dunkelgleb and began to weather the actual camo that chips of the original Dunkelgleb are showing through the actual brown camo areas. Then what I did was I dusted the entire model once I put the decals down. I dusted the entire model with a very fine dust coat of, I think it was a mix of surface primer, again by Vallejo, desert tan base, and model colour sand yellow from Vallejo. I just, very low pressure and highly tinned paint applied over the entire model. Then I gloss coated once again and began to do my chipping, which you might or may not be able to see. You can kind of see some of the chipping there, and on the rear deck especially, and on the support rails for the shoresman. So I began to chip, and that was done using a mixture of a fine brush and the sponging method. How I did that was basically I took a cocktail stick, small piece of sponge, taped it onto the cocktail stick, and to do the first layer of chipping, I just made a very light coat of Dunkelgleb and dabbed it on. Then I took camo black brown and painted in the primer. I went for this colour chipping rather than the red oxide, just I kind of prefer that way. I will do red oxide on some of the shorts and plate stuff. So once that was down, again gloss coated the entire model in preparation for oils. So there is a dot filter which you should be able to see. You can kind of see some of the white streaks for the filter. Again, I need to kind of clean that up a little bit. So all the vertical surfaces got dot filters. Then I, with Octolong 502 by MIG, I used their Shadow Brown oil paint, which is basically a very deep umber. I think it's basically a mix of burnt umber and lamp black. And I began to, again, you can't quite see it, my apologies for that. It's just because the way the light's bouncing it back into the camera. I began to pick out the various rivet heads, panel lines, also began to add some streaks to the weapon ports. If you see the gun ports, you can see the streaking. Also began to pick out some of the shadow areas. So I'm done with the oils now, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to acrylic washes and begin to add various washes to different elements of the model as well, just to add a little bit of difference. Then the entire model will get another dusting, light dusting of sand colours on the lower hull and lower element of the hull, or of the superstructure, so they say. Also, you can note the rust effect on the rear hull. Again, if I swing the camera this way, you might be able to see it better. That was done using the sponging method, using various red browns and deep reds. You might actually, heavy oil washes were applied to the actual access hatches of the rear deck. So just some localized sludge washes to maybe try to recreate some accumulation of oil and fuel. I'm going to go back in again and do some actual fuel stains and oil stains. So that's where we're at the moment. So quick answer to Dennis D. Dennis asked me a question about he spotted with the idlers that there's an etch part is included in the idlers. I'll show you now. It's like a disc spacer for the idlers, and he asked me why didn't I include mine, or did I forget them? So a quick answer to your question, mate. For some reason for yourself and Jason's comments, it does not give me the option to reply to them for some reason. It allows me to like them, but it doesn't allow me to reply to them. I'm not quite sure what the issue is there. Maybe it's just the devices you comment on aren't compatible with mine. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll give you a verbal answer. The kit gives me an option of two types of idler. One of them has the etch brass spacer disc, and one of them doesn't, and I went for the one that didn't, just to keep things simple. It's more or less just like a production run difference. And as you can see, the wheels being painted up. I need to go back and give them a second coat of Dunkelgleb, and I'm going to do some different tonal differences on some of them. I'm darkening some of them and lightening some of the others. And also, you know, some of them are rock brown too, just add a bit colour difference. Tracks are just primed. These are the DS final tracks by Dargon. These are actually very good tracks. Unfortunately, one of them has a bit of a bow in it, but hopefully when it's together, it won't even be apparent. I mentioned I was going to do a diorama for this. I'm actually going to simplify the diorama just to a single figure on a little base, because I have a larger diorama being planned for Cohen's Tiger or the Tiger Group build SIG, which is going to be much bigger, and I want to free up time and resources for that. So the figure I'm going to be using is the old figure from the Octung Jabo or Yabo set from Dargon, from their best figure sets. I have a few figures lying around from that. I was looking for a new set on eBay. They want 30 quid for it. Jesus, like. And I have a resin head from Hornet. So I might do a video dedicated solely painting up this crewman. Now, I have a quick question, very quick. Would a crewman who belongs to a unit that uses these type of self-propelled howitzers, basically, would they have the Panzer Black or the Stug Reed Green uniforms? I'm a little bit unsure on that. I don't know if they belong to a Panzer unit or a Stug unit. But either way, I'm going to be doing these bottoms in the Italian style camo that a lot of the lads had made specially. These to get them tailored themselves. And then it's either going to be a Panzer Black or the Reed Green style tunic. Nice and simple. Also, the shores and plates, which you can see lined up on the far element of shot, they're primed in different colours, blacks and greys, just to see what different tones I can get out of it. I'm going to try to use AK Warren effects to weather these as an experiment, or at least I'm going to try one of them with it, because Carlos a couple of months back was describing how to use it, because I had a lot of trouble with it in the past. So he's just saying use satin varnish for sealing it rather than gloss, and it should work fine. And also, finally, as an answer to some of the questions that Hamilcar, Michael brought this up. Good point. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the video myself, so I think he was just making a point on the spot like that. A lot of guys get caught up on the colour of Dunkelgleb, and it's an interesting talk. Now, personally, I don't care. I know that sounds kind of pretentious, but I don't care about whose tone is more accurate than the other. I couldn't care less. I go for the Dunkelglebs or the products that are marked as Dunkelgleb. I look at them and I go, which tone I like the most. I tend to like the Vallejo one, partly because I have it on hand, and also because of its warm hue. I love the warm hue of the Dunkelgleb that Vallejo do. The kind of mustard greenish yellow, and once you weather it, again, Yeah, there you go. It tones it right down. I know AK's one and MIG's one is much lighter, much more flat, or much cooler, if you will. Um, it looks nice, but I think this pops immediately in your eye. Again, the camera isn't doing it much justice. So yeah, he made a quite interesting point that people do get caught up on it. Well, I haven't got many people caught up too much on it, if you get me. I haven't come across it too much. But yeah, like some review counters, which is fine. Like, they're trying to make a replica, so they really put a lot of time and energy into it. But for model makers like myself, and I believe a vast majority of us, if it's close to it, it's pleasing to our eye, and it makes the model stand out without being overpowering or powering, then it's good. So yeah, it's an interesting point that Michael or Hamilcar brought up. So like, yeah, that's kind of my view on it. I'm not much of a river counter. I'm more of you just your normal model maker, that if it's close as I can reasonably get it, then I'm happy. Like that's all how I kind of see it. I need to go back in and tone down some of these washes actually, but that's how I kind of see it. And like, I think it's all down to personal preference. Some model makers just personally like getting it accurate. It's just, you know what I mean, it makes their modeling experience more fun and more entertaining, and that's fine. So exactly, yeah. So like, I more disagree with Hamilcar, and my own view on it is, you ultimately go for a colour that is close to it, if you will. That it's, you know what I mean, you're not like painting it a completely out there colour. But also, don't be. This is art. Ultimately, this is an art form. Don't be scared to use a little bit of artistic license. You know what I mean? This is still a Brummbar. It's still a German Panzer Corps vehicle, and it looks to be one. You know what I mean? So if my hue is slightly too warm or too cool in its intensity, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, so I was saying, like, and me and Carlos also discussed this in length. So that's just my view on it. So thank you for watching. Happy modelling, and stay safe.